Alright, and we're back. And on this time, we're going to do some saving and loading the game type stuff. But last time what we did was we learned how to kill the player and respawn the player at a checkpoint. So that was a long video, but we got a lot done. So this time let's learn how to do the save game. It's not going to be quite as long as a video, but it's going to be a lot of stuff here. And there's lots of different ways you can save your game, but because this game is set up the way it is, we're going to save the game according to how we set up the game. Okay, so I think that this way we're going to save it through the checkpoint. Every time they run into the checkpoint, the game will save. So anyways, in order to get started, first thing you need to do is down here in your blueprints folder, right click, and we need to add a new blueprint class. And you will not find it up here, so you have to come down here to all classes, open that up, and search for save game. Alright, and click on the save game and select. We want to call it something like my save game. My save game underscore BP. Okay, now inside of this, once you double click on it, you're going to see that it's blank. There's nothing here. What we need to do inside of here, because the save game is the place where it's going to house all the variables that you want to be saved. So we need to add some variables. And I guess for this example, what we can do is add a variable like last location, so we can save the last location and bring that back up. So let's add one called last location, and make sure it's a vector. You can compile and save that. For the last location, it's set at 000. We'll come back and we'll set the default to something else, and I'll show you why later. But you're done with the save game, unless you want to set the default now. We can go ahead and do that. What you want to do is grab your player start. If you don't have a player start, you could simply find one, which is right here, player start. Drag this out into your level, right? And I don't need two, I only need one. But since this is here, this is where the player will start from. And what I want to do is I want to use this location as my default starting location. So I'll come over here, and in the blank space between this on the location, I'll press copy. Now what I need to do is go back into my save game, and for the last location, we could just paste it right there. So this way our default last location is going to be our starting point. And that's awesome. So the next thing that we need to do is inside of our character here, let's go into our third person character, and we need to, this is cool, some of this stuff needs to be captioned. We can caption that later in a different video. But we need to create two functions. First function is going to be save game. And then the next function is going to be load game. Cool. So in our save game function, we need to set it up correctly. So before we get started in setting up our functions, let's go to our event graph, and let's add in a last location variable. It looks like I already did it. So add in a new variable, and then make sure it's called last location, and it's a vector. And you can also paste your last location information here, the start point here. So you compile and save that. Alright. Now back in our save game function, let's set up our save game function. First thing we would need to do is create a save game object. So type in create save game object. Alright. And the save game object we want to create is the one that we just made. So my save game underscore BP. And we can promote this to a variable and call it save ref or save game ref. Okay. Next thing we need to do is we need to set the location in the save game. So remember how we made the variable in the saved game? Let's set that location. Set last location. And where do we want to set that last location to? We want to set it to wherever the player is at that time. So what we will do is we will say get actor location. Okay. And you can actually plug that straight in, but the actor is going to need a target. So we can say self and just get a reference to yourself. Bow. Alright, last thing you need to do is save this to a slot. So we're going to save game to slot. Save game to slot. And really important, very, very, very important here, is that you fill out these things here. So the save game object, you obviously want this to be hooked up to the save game. And then the slot that you want is, I'm going to call mine slot 1 with a capital S. And we need to remember this because this is what we'll call for all of the time we use the save game. So make sure it's spelled the same and the same capitals and everything. But that's looking good to me. Alright, cool. Compile and save. Now for the load game, what we want to do here is we want to load the game. So drag off of here and say load game from slot. And the slot that you want is the same one you just made. So mine's slot 1 with a capital S. So we load the game from the slot. Then we're going to cast to my save game. And hook up the object straight here. Perfect. Now what we need to do next is get the last location from the save game. So we get it this time instead of set it. And we're going to set it from the players. We're going to set the player's location. So set here. Hook up that. Hook up that. And that looks beautiful. Now, again, we're only doing one variable right now, but you know, as we go forward, we'll put the health, then we'll put everything else to be saved. But right now, we'll just do this one, just for an example, to set it up. So load game, it should be good. Last step that we need to do is we need to open our level blueprint. So, open your level blueprint, click here, open level blueprint. Okay. And on our event begin play, we have a little bit here. Get player controller, set input mode to game only. Awesome. What we need to do is add a few things here. So let's cast to the third person character. And then for the object, get player character. Okay. And then after that, what you want to do is you want to call the load game. So as soon as this map loads, we want the game to load. So drag off your character and say load game and call the function. We're not finished yet. What we need to happen is as soon as the map loads, they load the game, but not only do they load the game, but we want the character to teleport to the last location. So drag off of here and say teleport. And where are they going to teleport? Like we said, we need to get the last location. So from the third person character, get last location, and hook that up to your destination. Compile and save. Now we said we wanted to call this save game in the checkpoint, but I'll show you it working outside the checkpoint, and then we can add it to the checkpoint. So real quick, let's set up something for testing. So in your third person character, in the event graph, find a blank spot somewhere, and we're gonna say right click, and we'll use the letter F. So F, when they press F, we're gonna save the game, and we want to use that function. Cool. We will delete this part. I'm just showing you this for testing. So right now we should be able to test it out, and basically she should start the game from the player start, but wherever I save the game at, when I press F, she'll load the game when we start it over. And one more thing here. When I press F, let's put a print string here. Print string. And it's going to say game saved. Game saved. Alright. Yeah. I don't know. Okay. We'll just make it say game saved. Okay. So, let's press play and test it all out. So she starts at our player start, and that's pretty cool. Now what will happen is you can do all of your level or whatever, but let's press F right here. So let's save the game right here. In the top left, you see it says game saved, game saved. Well, we can press escape, and once we press play again, she should end up right here. So let's press play, and yeah, perfect. So now you have the game saved. So we know it works. Now let's add that save game to our checkpoint. So go to your checkpoint, your first checkpoint, and go to the blueprint, open it, and at the end of the blueprint, what we're going to do is drag off of the third person character and say save game. That way, when she walks into a checkpoint, every time, it'll save the game. And when it saves the game, it's going to save her position as well. So whether she dies or whether we turn the game off, she'll load back up from the checkpoint. And that's exactly what we want. Is there anything else? Let's go ahead and make sure. So she loads the game. That's pretty much what I wanted to show y'all. How to save, load, how to add it to the checkpoint. We accomplished all of that. So, I mean, I guess that's it, man. If y'all have any questions, go ahead and put them in the comments and I'll do my best to help you out with that. But in the next video, we'll enhance the save and load system so that it kind of like is better. We want to add the health variables to it. We want to add the mana, whatever weapon she has, like all of that stuff. So we'll fix that up, but at least we got it set up in this one. And literally that's all I wanted to show you. So I hope you guys enjoyed it and learned something, and I'll holla at y'all in the next one. Peace. Hey.